All right, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be talking about evaluation and reflection in instructional design. And these two terms are a little bit different. Evaluation is kind of determining how well our design is working. And we can do that during the design process, during implementation, as well as after implementation. Reflection is more evaluating or understanding your own learning and developing your own design skills. Okay, so let's start with evaluation. Remember, we had this scaffolding for our design process. The very last step of this is evaluation, to evaluate. And I have two parts on this. One is design judgment. The more you design, the more you start to understand what's going to work and what's not going to work. Just like as a teacher, your experience helps you understand what does and does not work in the classroom. Okay, we're not going to go into a lot of depth on this, but there is a lot of research into making good decisions and judgment in design. And then assessment and evaluation plan is the other part of evaluate. How are we going to assess our learning outcomes? And how are we going to figure out if this program or this instructional program, this approach actually works, both while it's being implemented and while we're designing it, as well as at the end of the design process. So there's two main types of evaluation, and there's a whole class on evaluation in this program, so I'm not going to get too deep here, but you need to have a basic understanding to understand how it works with instructional design. So I use these cooking show pictures. So formative evaluation is when we're determining how something works or what's going on during the process of creation. So that could be during the design process, or it could also be as we're implementing something. We're looking to see how it works, and then we're making adjustments as we go. So for example, I have you as students, I look at your work constantly, and I use that to make my wrap-up videos to kind of address misunderstandings. That's a method of a formative evaluation. Or I have you answer the surveys every week so that I can get a feel for how you are interpreting things, how things are working. So that is a type of formative evaluation that I use. In a cooking show, the chefs might taste test something and decide, oh, I need to add more salt or not. They also are going to see the colors, the smells, all these different things that can help them make an evaluation of their dish as they're cooking and make adjustments as they go. Summative is what happens in the end when all the cooks bring their dishes to the judges, who then give them ratings and choose the winner. It's what happens at the end of a project, but it's important because it helps us inform really what we're going to do in the next project. So in some ways, there's not really such a thing as summative evaluation, because the reason we do it is to inform something in the future, but within a singular design project, we have kind of like a summative evaluation. So then we say, what are we evaluating? And I use this in PowerPoint, and I said engagement, and they put an engagement ring, so I thought, why not? These are different things you might evaluate in instructional design. Engagement, it's not whether or not people get engaged, it's more like, are they engaged with the content? Behavior, how is it changing how people act? Is it changing their knowledge, skills, and attitudes? Is it addressing the learning outcomes? That's why we set learning outcomes. It's just use that for evaluation of how well we're meeting these objectives. And then results goes broader than this. So for example, you might have an instructional solution for helping teachers design a content-specific lesson with a new technology. And you could look and see whether or not teachers are doing that, and that might be part of your evaluation process. You might observe some classrooms, you might interview some teachers, but ultimately the broader result is we want to see if student learning is improving. So we might even zoom way back in our evaluation plan in saying, look, is what we're doing working for the bigger picture? What results are we getting? We might look at financially, what kind of budgeting are we doing? Are teachers using programs effectively? Are we overspending? There's all these different pieces that go beyond just the learning setting that we can also include in an evaluation plan. We can use a lot of different indicators to determine how well evaluation or how well a program is using. So like I said, we can observe. We can observe students working, teachers teaching, people behaving or interacting. We can look at work samples. So I constantly look at your discussion posts and other things you turn in to try to understand how you're thinking and how well you're doing on the content we talk about. Any type of projects, things people write or do or talk about can be a work sample. We can look at tests and assignments, and that could be part of work sample. We can give people surveys. We can interview people. Or we could even just casually ask teachers, hey, what support do you need? Did this help or did this not help? And then we can look at broader results such as student test scores or student engagement in learning on a broader scale. So when we make an evaluation plan, what we need to do is look at what are the outcomes we're evaluating for. And this is what you'll do with your project for the evaluating steps. What outcomes are you looking for? If you were to conduct an evaluation of this instructional plan that you are planning but not implementing yet, what type of evidence would you collect? And how would you collect that and when? And then how would you determine if you're successful? Is there a certain level or point at which you say, yes, this is doing what it's supposed to do? So that will be your evaluation plan for your project. Okay, on to reflection. So where evaluation was about determining if the program as a whole is working, reflection is more about your own development as a designer. So when we reflect on something, we're not seeing it exactly how it is. We're using some type of frame, and what we're looking at is kind of a little bit of a blurred image given the context. So we can look at our design process in certain ways that can help us learn from it and grow from it. So when you're reflecting, here's some different questions you might ask. Like you might say, what decisions did I make? Early on I saw that I looked at this need and I really zoomed in on the fact that teachers were only using Google tools. Well, why did I focus on that? And what was the impact of that down the road? Where was I uncertain or confused? Like, what was happening that made me really unsure? What did I find surprising or interesting? What would I do different next time? What did I learn overall? Thinking back over the process is really useful for developing your own design skills. So you're going to actually be doing a reflection where you're going to look back at your discussion posts clear from the beginning of this project, so you can see how the ideas have developed over time, because that will help you in future design projects. Okay, main takeaways here. Evaluation is about helping us determine how we're meeting objectives. Formative evaluation is about continually adjusting our designs as we go. And then reflection helps us learn from the design process. All right, thanks for watching.